Well, we were right. Sylas the Unshackled was revealed, and we got his bio and his trailer now. And looking at the trailer, you might notice that this was likely the most accurate story prediction we have ever had. We predicted that the story that mentioned Sylas would likely be from the past, if he becomes a champion, because the story avoided describing Renwall or dragons as they are in the present days. And as you can see on the splash art, Sylas is adult now. We also predicted that he'll use the abilities of his enemies against themselves, but that one was kinda obvious. There was also a person in our comment section who noticed that Sylas, spelled with I, is a name you can find in the Bible. Now, my knowledge of Christian religions is as shallow as decency in the mobile market, but according to this person and Wikipedia, Sylas had an entire bit in the Bible where he escaped chains with the power of God's love. At that point, the connections between the teaser and Sylas were too deep, so it had to be him. So now, to put all the new information into the final puzzle, let's have a look at how his bio explains who Sylas really is. Sylas of Dragborn, which as of right now is a place that's not on the map, was born to a poor Demacian family that strongly believed in Demacian ideals. So when they found out their son can wield magic, in a country that forbids witchcraft at the cost of life, they convinced young Sylas to turn himself to the Mage Seekers, who were Demacian mage hunters. But instead of executing him or trying to cure his magic with incredibly brutal methods, such as making him drink a petricide potion which would painfully rip the magic essence from his body, instead the Mage Seekers decided to use the boy's ability to visibly see magically touched items, including people. Being from a poor family struggling to survive, Sylas appreciated his new job. He was now helping his own country, which gave him a sense of meaning in his life. But the downside is that everyone shunned him. He was alone. After all, he himself was a mage, and people feared mages in Demacia. The only people who talked to him were the Mage Seekers assigned to him. Through his work, Sylas began to notice that magic was all over the place, more than Demacia cared to admit. He could sense glimmers of hidden power even among wealthy Demacians, some of whom were known for publicly hating mages. But while the poor were punished for their afflictions, the elite seemed to be above the law. This hypocrisy planted the first seeds of doubt into Sylas's mind. After this, the bio basically explains what happens during the Demacian Heart story, a story which we talked about in the last video. But it skips the part where the Mage Seekers accidentally burned a village of poor people to the ground, which also pushed Sylas into doubting the Demacian ways. It only mentions the part after that. Sylas and his handlers encountered a mage living in hiding in the countryside. After discovering it was only a young girl, Sylas took pity on her. When he tried to shield the child from the Mage Seekers, he accidentally brushed against her skin. The girl's magic rushed through Sylas's body. But rather than killing him, it shot forth from his hands in raw, uncontrolled bursts. It was a talent he did not know he possessed. And it all resulted in the deaths of 3 people, including his Mage Seeker mentor. This is where the Demacian Heart ended. Sylas exploded with light and unknowingly killed Venice, the farmer, and the girl. That's the 3 deaths. But the bio continues. Knowing he would be called a murderer, Sylas went on the run, and he quickly became known as one of the most dangerous mages in Demacia. Indeed, when the Mage Seekers found him, they showed no mercy. Though he was still just a youth, Sylas was sentenced to life imprisonment. He was kept in the darkest depths of the Mage Seeker compound, forced to wear heavy shackles of magic dampening petricide. Robbed of his arcane sight, his heart turned as hard as the stone that bound him, and he dreamed of vengeance on all who put him there. But after 15 wretched years, a volunteer from the Illuminators named Laxana began to visit him. Even with his shackles, Sylas recognized her as a powerful mage, and over time the two forged an unusual secretive bond. In exchange for Sylas's knowledge of the control of magic, Lux educated him about the world outside his cell, and brought him whatever books he desired. Eventually, through careful manipulation, he convinced the girl to smuggle a forbidden tome into his cell, the original writings of the great sculptor Durant, detailing his work with petricide. Now, if you are not aware, Durant is a legendary sculptor who has traces in the foundation of Demacia. He's the person who created Galio. The book revealed the secrets of the stone to Sylas. It was the foundation of Demacia's defenses against harmful sorcery. But he came to see that it did not suppress magic, but absorb it. And if the power was held within the petricide, Sylas wondered, could he release it? All he needed was a source of magic, a source like Lux. But she never visited Sylas again. Her family, the immensely powerful Crown Guards, had learned of their contact, and were furious when Lux had broken the law to help this vile criminal. Without explanation, it was arranged for Sylas to be hanged. At the gallows, Lux pleaded for her friend's life, but her cries fell on deaf ears. As the hangman pushed past her to tighten the noose, Sylas managed to touch against Lux with his chains, and as he predicted, her power surged into the petricide shackles, ready for him to unleash. And with that stolen magic, Sylas blasted his way free, sparing only the terrified young Crown Guard. He left the Mage Seeker compound not as an outcast, but as a new defiant symbol in Demacia. Traveling the kingdom in secret, he gathered a following of exiled mages, all now aligned toward a common goal: to topple the throne and demolish the oppressive system that made them suffer for so long. This was the bio of Sylas, and we got a lot of new information from it. The most important bit is that Patricide was confirmed not to dampen magic but absorb it. This explains a couple of mysteries and lays open new questions. A lot of Swain's quotes now make sense. He mentioned that Demacia is hateful towards magic, yet they carry it to every battle. This now makes sense, because if Patricide absorbs magic, the Demacian army now has to be powered up by it. This also makes me wonder, what powers does the giant Demacian forest really hold? During Rune Wars, those trees absorbed the cataclysmic magic. By now, they have to hold some incredible power. Not to mention that Rise is storing the world runes below their roots. I wonder if he's doing this consciously. Maybe Rise wants the trees to absorb the magic from the world runes. Maybe Rise wants to return the magic back to the nature. Maybe it is his plan all along. Also, Swain mentioned that there is something off about Galio. Durant kept something secret about this sculpture. This could be why Galio doesn't just absorb magic, but it also gives him life, which it doesn't for any other structure. So Galio still holds a secret we don't know. Before we hop into the trailer, however, his splash art reveals a person behind him. Obviously, everything points towards her being Lux. She is the only one who visited his prison, and she is the only one he spared. But two things don't add up here. First of all, her hair is white, not gold. And also, her ears look quite elven? That might be just me. Either way, I honestly wouldn't be surprised if this woman was yet another teaser for the future. Maybe she isn't on the other side of the bars. Maybe she was imprisoned just like Sylas. Also, in the teaser, if these really wear high heels, it would make sense if it was Lux. Anyway, let's get into the trailer now. Immediately at the beginning, we get a shot of Sylas' cell. There is a massive slab of Patricide above him, there are chains all around him, and he has massive shackles of white Patricide. On the ground you can see that he's been patiently counting his days. But the interesting thing is that everything that's magical is pulsing around him, because that's how Sylas sees magic. Even though in the story it is described that he lost his arcane sight in the cell. One of the things that's weird here is that he has pulsing rune marks on his body. I wonder how he got those. I'll let the trailer play now with his quote so you get a nice sense of his personality. Listen to the music and you may be able to notice hidden bits from the original Demacian theme.
Honor, justice, tradition, all shackles for the ignorant. After 15 years in the dark, I was illuminated. I see a world without lords or peasants, where every Demacian is a king, where those who keep us in chains have their power ripped from their grasp. Rise up, brothers and sisters. Whatever they bring, we'll match it. Crush the oppressors. Claim your birthright. And burn their kingdom to the ground. All we need to start the fire is a single spark.
The last thing I want to leave you with is that at the end you can see him tapping into Lux's powers. But in the story he didn't do that. He didn't break out until they tried to hang him, so he probably wasn't even in his cell when he tried to escape. Which means that his trailer isn't entirely canon. And his splash art also isn't part of his story. Unless this is a picture of him demolishing the Mage Seeker Keep for vengeance. Riot, why do you make things confusing? Hey, did you know that we have social media and Twitch where we talk about other League facts and stories? And did you know that we have need mugs and shirts too? The links to all of that will be below. And as always, thank you, come again.